everybody, it's children's music specialist Mr. Kurt Gallagher, and I'm here with Guitar Picking for Parents and Grandparents, episode 2. These are lessons for grown-ups who have a little experience playing guitar, and episode 2 is going to be Happy Birthday in the key of G, standard tuning. We're playing with our fingers. So stick around and I'll break it down and I'll show you how I came up with that arrangement. Thanks. Okay, so we're in the key of G and we're going to work out of this chord here. It's a F-shaped G chord in the third position. The first 4 notes are on the B string. Da 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 da. It's D, D, E, D. Then we have a G note. We're going to play that with a diminished chord, and then we have an F sharp, and that's part of a D7th chord. And then we'll go back to the first phrase, D, D, E, D, and then we have A, G, and we're going to do the A as part of a D7th chord, and the G is part of our G chord. So I want to take a break, and I want to talk about why that diminished chord is there. And then I want to take another break and I want to talk about this D7th chord. So that's the first half of the song. I'll just play it and then we'll take a break and talk about those two things as a sidebar. So I'll be right back. Okay, well, the melody note was G at the end of that first phrase, and I was looking for some harmony that would sort of pull towards that D7th chord, so I thought I would try a diminished chord, and it works. So diminished chords are a lot of fun. They're sort of like the spackling paste of music. You can put them in the nooks and crannies and have lots of fun with diminished chords. And on the guitar, diminished chords are a lot of fun because once you learn this shape, it repeats every 3 frets with an inversion of the chord, but you don't have to change the shape. The shape is exactly the same. So you can do what looks like flashy stuff, but it takes no effort at all because it's the same exact shape. So you just move it up 3 frets to get the inversion. And then there's another diminished chord that you play on the inside 3 strings. You sort of get that feeling of suspense when you play diminished chords, and they're fun to work into arrangements when you can. So that's why I chose that diminished chord. I just like the harmony and the pull of the harmony towards the D7th. Okay, I also wanted to talk about the dominant chord. Whenever you see 7th after a chord, that's also called a dominant chord. Now I'm playing this D7th, which is based on a C shape. There's a C, there's a C7. If you move it up 2 frets, you get a D7th chord. Everybody knows these inside chords on the inside 4 strings. But to play this song, you need the note, the melody note that's on the E string. So I moved that dominant chord down towards the floor, 1 string each. And there's a whole series of inversions that you can play with these dominant chords on the 4 skinniest strings. I'll play 4 D dominant chords. I'll play 4 7th chords in G. And you can do them on any chord. There are 4 inversions that I know of the dominant chords, and you can pick any chord like maybe A, and you can go up and down the neck, and they're really handy if you learn them because you get that high note on the E string. So it's good for playing melodies. So look into those dominant chords. I'll put the charts on the screen, and maybe you can start playing around with those. Okay, so we're going to get back to the song. We've made it halfway through Happy Birthday, so let's take a look at the second half. Okay, so the second half of the song starts the same as the first half. And then we have this long descending phrase. So let's take a look at the descending part. And you jump up to a G chord, which is based on the D shape. Back to the third position G chord, another diminished chord, and then a freebie, regular old C chord, and your melody note is the open E string, and then it finishes. So there's one really tricky part about that descending phrase, and that's when you go all the way up to the highest note. You're out of this D-shaped G chord here, but you need the 5th degree of the scale, or the 5th note of the chord, to land with the chord when you jump up there. So it's... So that's going to take a little practice. You know this D chord, right? And you may have reached up to get that A note up there. It's a little bit of a stretch. But that's the same idea we're doing when we jump up to the G chord, which is a D shape, and we're just going to have that pinky grabbing the 5th of the chord. So the only tricky part is that's the note that you need when you land on the chord. So you got to practice that a little bit to make sure that note is there when you land the chord. When I think about it, practicing is, you do it enough where you don't have to think about it, because if you think about it, it's going to slow you down. When I was thinking about it, it slowed me down a little bit, but I'll be okay. And then the other chord is for the last phrase. It's another G chord in the 7th position, but you're going to do that like suspended 4th thing. Did you ever do that on your D chord down here? I think most guitar players have done that. Played around with that 4th note out of the D shape. So we're going to do the same thing when we go up here to the G chord that's based on the D shape. Then your melody note is the G that's right there on the B string in that chord. And the last 2 notes are out of D 7th, like we've done before, and G. Okay? So I hope I was clear enough about that whole second half of the song. I'll play it one more time. Da 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 dee 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 dee. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me. I want to take a break for a second, and then I'm going to come back and talk about playing this at parties and for your friends, and how you can make sure that your friends are singing it in the key that you want them to be in. You can help them, give them a little guidance. And I also want to talk about playing the song with a regular old guitar pick, because sometimes it's a little bit easier and you get more projection, and it's a little bit louder to play it with a guitar pick. So I'll show you how to do that in just a second. I'm back. I have a regular old guitar pick right there, and I'm going to play this arrangement with the pick. So it's a little punchier, you get a little more projection. The trickiest part is right at the beginning when you have those melody notes on the B string. You just have to be careful that you're not hitting the E string, or if you are, you got to be careful that you're muting it. I do a little bit of both. When the melody is on the high E string, you don't have to worry about muting or being careful where you're picking, because you can just strum away because your melody is on the high E string, so you're hitting all the strings. But when your melody is on the B string, you just have to be a little careful. Just Watch what you're doing with the pick, or mute. I mute a little bit with the curve of my first finger there, so I can hit all the strings, but the B note is the highest, or the note on the B string is the highest note ringing out. Okay, so play around with that. It's a lot of fun. If you're at a party and you're going to play this, you probably do want to use a pick. It's less to think about, and it's a little bit louder. So here's what you do to make sure all your friends are singing it in the right key, because usually people would sing this in F if they were going to sing it a cappella. I think someone took a survey one time and they figured out that most people sing this song in the key of F because it starts on the C note. But we're one step up. So you might want to just get that into people's ear a little bit by strumming or sketching out the chords you're going to use. Just sketch it out gently as people are gathering around the cake and lighting the candles and getting the cameras turned on. You'll have a couple minutes to sketch out. So do that for them so they get that key in their ear. Also give them a lot of the D 7th chord right before you sing, because that will pull their ear towards the key of G. If you hear that dominant D 7th chord, that's why it's called dominant, because it pulls you towards something which is the key of G, or a G note. Okay, or you could do the whole turnaround that I talked about. Do it a couple times, and then right before you're getting ready to sing, hold that D chord, and then you're good to go. So I need to talk about that little turnaround that I play right at the end of the song. After you get to the end of the melody, I just go up to an E 7th chord. It's based on the C 7th shape, and it's moved up to the 5th position. And then I just go around the circle of fifths. I play the A 7th, then I play the D 7th. That brings us home to the G, but you can go around again. I did a little half step movement into the E 7th that time, and then your A 7th, D 7th, and G. And then sometimes I'll just play these bar chords, A-shaped bar chords, to get up to this G, and then I'll slide it down and finish there. And that's a nice big ending. If someone's blowing out the candles on the cake, that's a nice way to end it. Right as they blow out the candles. Okay, so if you have any questions, please get in touch with me and let me know if you have any requests or suggestions or ideas for me, and I'll try to respond. Also, I'm going to do Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in the key of C in in standard tuning next week. So come back and see that. That's a lot of fun. It's a really usable melody. Lots of different songs you can sing to that melody, and I think it's really pretty too. And I'll show you that next week. And also, I need to fix the audio from episode 1. I found out that people were having trouble listening to that first lesson on Apple mobile devices. There was a problem with the audio. So I will fix that for you. So I'll do another version of episode 1. And let me know if you have any questions about this episode, and I'll see you next week for episode 3, Twinkle Twinkle in C. Take care. Talk to you soon.